So let's say that we have our P1 T1 equals P2 T2, and we want to solve for T2 down here. Now a lot of people just rearrange everything, but your T2 is still on the bottom, so if I've got rid of my P2 and put it over here, you would be solving for 1 over T2. T2, whatever you're solving for, has to be on top. Okay, so let's go through that slowly algebraically. I need to get T2 on top, so I'm going to multiply both sides by T2. Okay, so my T2 is gone, and I have T2 times P1 divided by T1 equals P2. Okay, that's what I have. But I am solving for T2. This is what I have to get alone. So I have to multiply, I have to get rid of T1, so I'm going to multiply this side by T1, and I'm going to multiply this side by T1, and this cancels, and I have T2 P1 equals P2 T1. Okay, but remember, we're solving for T2. This is still not alone, so I'm going to divide by P1 and divide by P1. This goes away, and I now have T2 equals P2 T1 P1. Okay, that's step by step. Seems like a lot. Let me show you the very quick way of figuring this out without making math errors. Now you notice my T2 is here, and I moved it kitty corner or diagonal up to the top. That's what this math did. It just moved it over to the other side on the flip side of it. Okay, so let's look at this in another way. I have P1 T1 equals P2 T2. Now notice there's no addition here. There's not. It's only if you're multiplying or dividing on both sides can you do this. As soon as you put an addition sign in there, sometimes it works, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. Okay, so if I want my T2 on top, I can move it diagonal right there. So now I have P1 T2 equals T1 equals P2. There we go. I just moved it diagonal. That's what your math did. Okay, but remember, we want this T2 alone. That means I can move this diagonal there, and I can move that diagonal there, and I will have T2 equals P2, here's my diagonal T1, and here's my diagonal down there, P1. Okay, so now we ended up with the same thing, but instead of doing all the math, multiplying on both sides, I just crisscrossed it. Why does that work? Well, let's just see right here. In order to get rid of it, I put it there, and then I multiply it on top here. All I did was get rid of it here, and I moved it across and up. I moved it crisscross. Okay, so that's the quick and easy way to do the algebra with these gas laws. Okay, text me if you have any questions, email me. Private comments seem to work faster than my email. So if you put a private comment on the Google Classroom, it'll work faster.